Hello, everybody. I am Neil Cole. I'm in Northumberland in the UK, and I'm sitting within the museum that I built in the basement of a Georgian townhouse. It's the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi, and it fundamentally tells the history of classic era Doctor Who through original props and costumes that I've restored over 30 years. This is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
Give me the TARDIS. No. Give me the TARDIS. No. Give it here. Down it, demon. Power of Christ compels you to give me that damn TARDIS. All right. All right.
Greetings, Whovians, one and all. Welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil, and for those of you just joining us, welcome. Thank you. And today we are going to have a special guest. As you saw earlier, we have Neil Cole and his Museum of Sci-Fi. Well, what the heck is that? Where is this Museum of Sci-Fi, and where can I see some awesome stuff, as you can see on the thumbnail? In just a few moments, we're going to be bringing in Neil Cole, and we're going to bring in our team of panelists, and you, of course, as always, for those of you who are not new to the show, I see a lot of chats going on out here. Wow. I'm going to say to Nico Back, Jim Barr, Roger, Batista. Wow, a lot of people in the chats over here, really excited about talking about what we're going to be talking about tonight. This is Neil Cole's Museum of Science, and we're just going to give you a little bit of a thumbnail. Ramona's there. Yeah, hello there, Ramona. There's the Tasty Cake. The third Doctor's here. Awesome. There we go. I think we're complete. We've got enough people over here, so check it out. We're going to be talking about this wonderful museum that this man has brought up, how everything started. I think I hit the wrong button. Again, shut up, Tom. I can hear you laughing on the other side of this out there. But let me go ahead and bring in, speaking of which, let me go ahead and bring in the team. Speaking of which, the Reverend Amagon, check him out on his YouTube channel himself. Tom, how you doing, my friend? Welcome.
Thank you for having me on again. I always appreciate being on the show.
You know,
lovely day, lovely day.
You have a museum behind you.
Partial museum. I'm still trying to clean it up and make it more accessible. Besides my please like, subscribe, share to my YouTube page, a link to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS behind me, and all my Funko Pops behind me there as well.
Oh, Nico Bat says, I've never heard of this place before. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, we're going to have a fun time because the first time I ever heard about this place was on Facebook. And then I just subscribed to it and said, this is cool. This looks absolutely cool. And this is going to be a place. Hey there, Jim. It's going to be a place that's going to be very interesting to talk about. But I'm going to let the man do it in just a moment. But we are also followed by the lovely Jess. How you doing, Jess?
Oh, well, thanks. How are you?
Have you been to this Sci-Fi Museum as of yet or not?
No, it is on my list. But with lots of things, I've got a really long list. But
No, that's okay.
I will get there eventually.
No, that's fine. You were on our side of the world with doing Halloween Horror Nights and Disney and all that stuff. So need a break. Have you fully recovered from that?
I'm missing it like mad. Like the blues are proper hit. I really love that place. So yeah, I'm struggling a little bit, but yeah.
No, that's fine. How long did it take you to get over the jet lag? Yep, the countdown started. I'm getting through some old messages. How long did it take for you to finally recover to get back to the UK?
Actually, it didn't take me too long. I think Saturday I had about 12 hours sleep, which is unheard of for me. Like I just don't sleep. So yeah, like first Saturday, but I arrived Tuesday. Arrived back Tuesday. By Sunday, I was back to normal.
And on that side of the world, our temperature just dropped today. We hit the 50s for the first time. I know. Shut up, Christian. The weather's beautiful in the UK. Well, how low does the temperature get around this time of year for you guys?
It varies because it's the British weather. No one ever knows. It's feeling a bit colder today. I personally found. I don't actually. Hang on, I'll have a look. Because it felt proper cold. Like we're in October, so usually it's kind of like mild, you know. Mm-hmm. But let's have a look. What man? I've still got Florida on my weather app.
Well, you can tell us what's in Florida. I can tell you what's in Florida. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can.
I've got 11 degrees Celsius.
It's 70. Well, it's a 70 degrees. I know that you got the Celsius thing, which is always an interesting.
Yeah. That first confused me because everyone's like it's empty. I was like, that's really hot, but you didn't.
Speaking of which, we have a special announcement for everybody. We're going to be very busy this week, and we invite you. This came up. We've been working with this, and fingers crossed that this happens. Oh, I didn't even put the banner up. You know what? Keep talking, guys. We have a special guest tomorrow. For those of you in the UK, I think it's 5 p.m. and it's going to be noon here. There's already an invite on the on the Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I'm trying to find the picture. You know what's wrong? Melanie and Dave aren't here. I think they're both taking care of business at home. I think Dave's a little bit under the weather, and it's just going around out here. So hopefully they recover. So I'm doing all the work. I'm doing the chats. I'm doing everything here. But we're going to be having a special guest. Let me go ahead and bring. Oh, it doesn't. You know what's sad, Neil? We have a certain amount of pictures on this StreamYard. I'm just like, and when I loaded up all your pictures, it said, "Whoa, that's too many." I didn't put all the pictures on StreamYard. It won't allow it. So for those of you who have maybe heard the announcement or may have not heard about it yet, yes, we are very excited to have tomorrow on the show at noon Eastern Standard Time. The real McCoy, Sylvester, will be here at noon, 5 p.m. UK time, noon Florida time, and I think it's 9 a.m. in the Pacific time. Sylvester McCoy will be here live. I know he's on a crunch schedule, so I think he's just going to be here for half an hour. He will be talking about his new movie and project that's coming up, but more importantly, if you can see on the banner, he will be at Gods and Monsters this coming Saturday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is the 21st of October, and we just got word that he will be with Fraser Hines, Jamie McCrimmon from the Second Doctor series and the Sixth Doctor of the Two Doctors. They will be here together at Gods and Monsters. That place is going to be completely packed. Not only will these two be out there, but also the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS and Dalek Hal will be out there. So if you ever wanted your picture with a fully functioning Dalek, he's going to be out there with us as well. So again, it's going to be taking place this Saturday at 1 to 4 p.m. The earlier, of course, the better, on the 21st of October. So definitely get it out there. And if you want to chat with him live, you don't even have to go anywhere to a convention or anything. He will be here noon tomorrow. And he'll be here talking about his latest projects and stuff out there. Speaking of latest projects, let's go ahead and bring the man of the hour himself. He has no introduction because he already introduced himself, Mr. Neil Cole of the Museum of Sci-Fi, Classic Sci-Fi. How you doing, Neil? Welcome. Thank you. Yes.
Well, hello. Thank you very much. I'm stuffed full of cold. So I do apologize if I cough, splutter, or generally, I've got more. I've got like a bag of liquids, cough sweets, and general stuff to get me through. So I do apologize if I cough a bit. So I'll try not to. But apart from that, really excited to be on the show. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. And just a side note, Roger. Yeah, Andrew brought me up to speed on this. I'm still finding more about this, but hopefully that all gets resolved. I'm hoping all 880 some odd episodes will eventually end up on the BBC iPlayer -1. And of course, it's always the first one over there as of yet. So Neil, tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you started into sci-fi and Doctor Who? And you run a museum. Tell us a little bit about that too.
It was very simple. I mean, in the UK, Doctor Who, growing up, I'm 53 now, so in the early 70s. My first Doctor was John Pertwee. Really, there was very little few TV channels in the UK, very little merchandise, and you in science fiction there was very little sci-fi as well, for that matter. So Doctor Who on a Saturday evening was really a big deal, and you would throw your bike down, jump in the house, and you would be there in front of the telly to watch it live, and there was no repeats. So the sort of, it's quite a testament to the show that it made such indelible memories, But for me, age 5 in 1975, my dad took me not too far from here, about a 2.5-hour drive. Was a place called Blackpool. And any sort of classic fans may have heard of it. The Blackpool Doctor Who exhibition was a famous Doctor Who exhibition. It ran there for about 10 years, and a selection of that year's props and costumes straight from the BBC was shoved on the M6 road up north and put in Blackpool. And this was before the heyday of theme parks, apart from Disney World. You didn't have Harry Potter World. It was incredible to see at that time in sort of media history to see an exhibition regularly with those sorts of items. I only got to see it twice. I was 5 and 6. It was a sunny day. It was a sunny afternoon on a pier, seaside pier. And you imagine you've got your sort of fish and chips and the sand and the sea, and there's the TARDIS, bright sunny day. And when you went in that TARDIS, you went downstairs, and the Dalek was at the top of the stairs telling you not to smoke. I was 5. I was not smoking. I hate to add. And then you were just in the radiophonic sound and on all these coloured lights, and you were into a corridor, and there were things you'd seen on your television. And age 5, it was like Christmas. It was like Santa Claus. It was like reality fiction. It was blurring. These were items I'd just seen. And I was so mesmerized by that experience of seeing things that I love monsters, and here are the monsters, And that entranced me for the rest of my life. And I always thought thereafter I would love to do something like that. I came from a very poor background, very modest background. So I never, as time went on, I thought, well, I can never afford to do that. And then around the mid-80s to the early 90s, the BBC started selling off Doctor Who props and costumes to anyone, really, basically. I had no money. So I thought, well, that's that. I'll never get any of them. They'll have gone into sort of wealthy houses. And as time went on, I became a teacher in my late 20s, and I started to carefully collect the odd prop and things. And then I realized that people didn't really know how to look after these things, especially things that were, rubber, made from rubber. And so basically I started to self-teach myself how to repair them. And I'm a sculptor, so I could start to repair them. And that's how it began. As strange as it is. But it was a definite, it was that exhibition in 75. I got my first Target book, age 5. It was Doctor Who and the Zarbi with William Hartnell. And there's Mestor. That is the restored Mestor head that was in the Blackpool exhibition in Longley.
Oh.
And that, I restored the mask. I resculpted the face. Basically, it'd been in the Longleat fire, famous fire. the Longleat House exhibition, K9's engine went on fire and took out a lot of the classic era props, including messed up and damaged. And I've spent the last, 15 years restoring some of the fire damaged props, which are now back on display here. And that face there, I resculpted that face. It had basically gone brown and it lost the sort of definition. And thankfully, by this point, I was able to resculpt and sensitively restore what was there. And that's what. And the other thing is, Blackpool was open all year round. And I wanted this place to replace Blackpool. When the BBC wouldn't shut Blackpool, I wanted Doctor Who fans to have, it's a smaller scale, but somewhere you could come and see the original pieces. Not just some collector's room that people put online every so often and say, hey, look what I've got. This was somewhere you could walk in any time of year, come and stay in the village. You'll get a warm welcome and come and talk about, natter about Doctor Who all day and come and see some of these original, lovely pieces. There are shared cultural heritage, I'm lucky enough to be able to have got some. And I'm not, I'm in my 50s now. As long as I draw breath, you can come and see these things. Simple as that.
I've always, and I remember the images of the when they found that Dalek in the lake. And it was bad enough that they were wiping classic Doctor Who episodes, and it's like, did anybody ever think that maybe one day they should haul this stuff out of the garage? What do they call it? The boots? What do they call it there?
Like boot? What?
The boot. They sell it out of the back of cars.
Boot sale.
Boot sale.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the props here, this has been a 30-year odyssey of collecting props. Starting with zero money. And basically, it was when I started teaching, I got the Cyber Scout from Attack of the Cybermen, which was one of the original pieces I got. And that took me about a year to restore. And only this year, and this is like 38 years since it was last parted, I got the red cyber gun that went with it, the screen used one, and put the two back together after 38 years. The Cyber Scout is now restored with its red cyber gun. And in fact, I could even run around the corner before the end of the show and show you if you like.
Absolutely.
But basically, a lot of the props, like the Pteroleptil, got severe fire damage. 3 years we sculpted that's the one. You can see some of the work I was doing on this, having to repair this. The BBC had also put the wrong head back. They put the green leader head on the red body. So I had to it's been a massive job. But obviously, I would say a job. I love doing this. But the nice thing now is, thank you, Roger, for saying that's very kind. Yeah, you can see a lot of the white is the clay. The legs had come away, had been sort of singed and come away. So I had to, thank you, Andrew, for saying that. And it took me 3 years of careful, not full-time, I was teaching full-time. And as you can see in the picture there, I was also building the museum. I was restoring a cellar. I do it all myself. Do you have to go to past Barnard Castle? Probably. Yeah, you're not a million miles away at Barnard Castle, Andrew. And basically I had to put the new ceiling in, and the house itself was falling to bits, and it took me 8 years to get the museum put together. And I was teaching full time. I have two lovely autistic children who are quite, take a bit of work. And so it's been a huge effort, I guess. But I've been diagnosed with ADHD, and I think the ADHD has been what sort of gave me that deep focus to just the drive to just keep going. And now the lovely thing is people come in and they get the pleasure from it. And that's the nice bit now, really. And I've had a lot of donations now. Graham Harper's become a good friend of the museum, the director, and he donated the Cyberman head from Doomsday, which was incredibly kind of him, to the museum. There's the Cyber Scout. And if you see the top left picture, that's the condition the costume came in.
Oh my God.
What you've got is there. You've got the brown is the actual boiler suit. And latex. You've then got layers of silver from the Earthshock paint job, and then you've got a respray for 5 Doctors, and then you've got a final coating of black, and you can see all the different layers at different times. And it's also dropping to bits, and the piping and the mesh was falling off. So I had to sort of combine everything together, underseal it all, resin it all, repaint it all, and get it all back together. And now it's got its red gun, not in that picture. That took me over a year to do. And also, it was just having to do a day job at the same time, because the guys at the BBC, they get paid for doing this. I haven't got paid for doing any of this. I'm just mad. I do it for the hell of it. I just love doing it. So but I'm very pleased to be able to. The nice, and I've got him as well. I managed to get a Cryon, so now I've got the Cryon that was in Blackpool. Again, the BBC sold this stuff off, and they had no idea where it was going. They just let it all go. In my opinion, it should have been kept into a major exhibition for a long time, you know, in the middle of the UK somewhere. But anyway, it's in safer hands in a way with people who really love the stuff. But I've managed to put a Cryon with it, so it's now on display. Not in that picture there because that was a little while ago, but it's now on display with a Cryon with its original gun, which is rather lovely.
I don't have the Cryon for whatever reason. I don't have a lot of the pictures I would like to have.
Yeah, don't worry.
But we're gonna. I'll try to see if I can find them. As I'll be kicking pictures out, and I'll be trying to put more pictures in there. But we got a commercial break. When we return, we're going to continue our discussion with Neil Cole of his Sci-Fi Museum. Andrew says ADHD hyperfocus has its benefits, and he appreciates that. I would just bring up the Cybermen over here because the first thing I thought was. What was it? I looked in the upper left hand corner. It looks like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
It does look like he came out of the swamp.
Yeah.
So, and also we're going to introduce Mark. But you know what? We got a commercial break. When we return, we're going to continue our discussion with Neil and his beautiful Sci-Fi Museum. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and don't forget, see if you can challenge me with your chats because both Melanie and Dave are not here. But everybody else here. So let's see what we can do. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in. We'll be right back.
We are a touring acoustic duo crashing kitchens around the country. We go from house to house every Friday night and we create music, we create food, a good time, we stream it live and we do it for free. So now we're just really kind of like trying to develop it and build a community group that people believe in, then they'll help us. So we played from our rehearsal room, we played from the bathroom, thankfully that didn't catch on.
I probably played guitar in my room, not for anyone, in front of anyone, nobody heard, for probably about 10 years.
And then one Friday night we played from the kitchen. It's the main place people want to be. It's where the food is, it's where the drink is, it's where the best lighting is. You can go to any party and I guarantee you the kitchen is going to be popping.
Our ultimate goal, I think, would be to crash kitchens every Friday all around the world.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil, host of the show. We bring in Mark Robinson, the Candyman. He's up. I'm glad he's here. Jess. Both of them from the UK. We've got the Reverend Namagan. Don't forget to check out his YouTube channel. And the lovely Neil Cole. And we were discussing it about his Sci-Fi Museum. And don't forget mañana, for the other folks, tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time. We're doing our live interview with Sylvester McCoy, who will be making an appearance at Gods and Monsters this Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. Also being there will be Fraser Hines, Dalek Hal, and some of the Traveling TARDIS team, so you don't want to miss out over there. Again, my name's Christian Basil. Welcome back. And hello, Mark. It's okay. You got your microphone on, my friend? Oh, there he goes. Unmuting himself. Oh, no. No audio.
You have to sign the whole episode.
No, you had to...
Sign language the whole episode.
Okay, you both stop doing whatever you're doing out there. And if you have any questions for Neil, by all means, ask away for them. But we want to... so somebody who's had to put up with a lot of this museum stuff is Neil's wife, Lisa.
There she is.
There she
Gorgeous
is.
Lisa.
Your time-traveling companion over there.
Yeah. Yeah, she's incredibly... Do you know what I said, Christian?
What's
when
that?
we got this house, which was a wreck, I saw the basement and I realized I was in my 40s and I'd honestly given up the idea of the chance of making a museum because I thought I'm never going to afford a building, you know. I had a tiny little house. This building came up and it had a cellar. It had a, you know, this basement, but it was trash. I mean, it was flooded with sewage. The wall was falling at the back.
You can see it from the entrance out there, right?
Yeah, and basically what I actually did was I said to my wife, I said, look, you let me have... Oh, we've got the Garm. He's one of my faves. I restored him. What I said to my wife was, look, you... And Stephen Gallagher, the writer, he's visited the museum. I said to my wife, you give me that museum, you give me the cellar, and there'll be nothing else Doctor Who in the house, I promise you. I said that everything, I promise, just give me that bottom floor, which was horrible. I knew there's no way my wife was going to say, oh, no, I'm going to fight you for this horrible sewer, you know, horrible stuff. It was not going to happen. But I just thought, that's my museum. That was the chance to actually do this. And Lisa's been incredibly supportive. Because what she's done is basically at night, after I was teaching, I'd come home and she'd make sure the children didn't sort of stop me doing. She was very, you know, she's the silent heroine behind the museum, if that makes sense.
Is this a family affair or is this just you?
Well, it's a family affair in that. I mean, I think it's a family affair in that I could not run a family and I could not, you know, my father-in-law, Chris, has been amazing. I always say he's the dad I never had, is Chris, my father-in-law. He's amazing. He's helped me with the building work. The two of us have worked in here. Honestly, we worked in here through snow, all sorts, putting the ceiling in. It was absolutely trash, this place. And also my wife, she'll sit in the museum sometimes because we can't really afford staff, you know. Anyone who's sort of putting a museum like this together, you do it, if you're doing it for the money, just think again, it brings in a little bit. But Ramona, absolutely. Ramona knows what she's. I know what Ramona's talking about.
Ramona knows everything inside and out.
I'll take you through. I'll do a walkthrough if you like, shortly. But basically, no. So my wife helps out. My father-in-law. Basically, I have a Sunday off because Chris comes and gives me a day off, so I can take my children out, and Lisa and I can go out with the children. So we sort of all pull together to make it happen. And we have an amazing bunch of museum supporters who just help, just sort of like with encouragement. And I do a magazine, and which is a deep dive into a really highly professional magazine I produce every 3 months for subscribers. And it's a deep dive into the props. I've got people like Margot Hayhoe. I don't know if you've heard of Margot. Margot worked with William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee Baker, and her husband filmed the Pertwee Baker regeneration. And he also filmed the Romans with Hartnell. And she donated the Triffid she produced the Day of the Triffids, and she donated a Triffid to the museum, but I had to restore it. So I've had some incredible help now. It's more encouragement, you know. It's and it's nice just knowing people get pleasure from it and bother. So people take the time to visit. It's incredible, really, you know. But I could not do it without family support. You know, simply I just couldn't do it because I had to work while I had to teach full time while I was doing all this.
Oh my
and
God.
only stage 53 have I only just quit the classroom. You know, so it's been a long haul. You know.
So it's kind of like this. After I get off work, I literally move chairs over, and here I am working on the show out here. So I have a question for you. What was your most challenging restoration?
Challenging restoration. Shall I walk through the museum and show you?
You know what? Yeah, by all means, let's go ahead.
Right. Okay. Can I just say, just for visitors, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just for visitors. The first half is general science fiction, and the reason being, fundamentally, is legally I would not be allowed to open a purely Doctor Who exhibition. But the museum, in terms of Doctor Who, kind of starts here. Although there's a few interesting pieces, like just here. That is from the Daleks Master Plan. That is Derek Spooner's hand-typed script page for episode 5. Things like, and also I've got an original drawing of the TARDIS for the Mask of Mandragora there. But I'll just move forward in here. In terms of challenging restorations, okay, there's lots of different ones, but what we've got here, I don't know if you can see that. That is the original Michael Wisher surviving Davros head.
Wow.
And that's sections of it. And I couldn't sculpt that back. I could have sculpted it, but I had to make a decision how to present that. So I decided I got a cast from the original mold and then pieced the original bits around it. So that was a funny one in that I couldn't sort of complete it and make it look amazing again. But if I just keep walking through, let's have a look. I'll show you probably the hardest one. I think probably.
Are you able to answer questions while you're walking through, Neil?
Of course,
we got a ton of questions.
The Pterolepto, I think, is probably the big daddy of restoration. It was
my goodness. Hi there.
It was a tremendous, complicated piece. Next to him is the Garm. He'd been in Longleat and put on a wooden frame and a motor, and it had stretched the fabric of the costume and tore it, and the rubber had been torn as well. So I had to sculpt new arm pieces, and the head, thankfully, was in reasonable condition. But it was like the Wicker Man. I rebuilt a complete frame and remounted that. It was a huge job as well. And then, of course, we've got Mestor next to him. He was a complicated one. And then the most recent restoration I've done. Oh, tell you what, while we're here, can you see that, Christian and Gangs? That is the Scout with Cryon.
Oh, goodness.
And there's the red cyber gun. That is the actual gun used to go with that, just made for that Cyberman. And down below it is a Dalek head from Destiny of the Daleks. That's one of the pyrotechnic heads. And if I come around the corner, Mike Tucker from Doctor Who. In fact, I'm just going to put some more lights on here. So I'm just going to put a few more lights on. And I'll show you.
Andrew says the latex dissolves after a while and the face masks for Davros. But one of his questions were, how many pieces, Andrew asked, how many pieces do you have of Doctor Who related?
Oh, crikey. Probably.
If you could take a guess.
200 original pieces.
Jesus.
I mean, this is on loan from Mike Tucker. This is the original Broton costume. Mike's very kindly loaned it. He restored that. While I was restoring Broton, I didn't realize he was watching me restore the Pteroleptil. And when I went to meet, Mike's one of my heroes, and Mike's visited the museum. When I said to Mike, I loved what he did with Broton, he went, I loved what he did with the Pteroleptil.
Oh, I think we lost.
So am I frozen?
So there's Neil.
There we go. Sorry.
There he goes.
I lost.
Oh, no, it's fine. It happens.
This was an interesting one here. Now that's the Tetrap head. That's the latest restoration I've done. That is Iraq from Time in the Rani. And its face was taken off for exhibition, and it had collapsed in on itself. And I really had to sculpt the eyes and the ears, and that was a complicated job. And this is a really interesting one from Delta and the Bannerman. I sculpted that face from scratch. If you look down below here, this is Stephen Mansfield baby prop. That's the one that Delta held. And that's the rod puppet. Still got the rods in. Now, this is one of the...
Tom calls mini-me.
Yeah, this is actually one of the Blake 7 Scorpio flight suits, not flight suits, space suits, which they just sprayed green. And the helmet is from Genesis of the Daleks. It's a Thal Trooper helmet, which they just stuck leather bits on. But the faces had completely gone for this. They were just literally, they cut draconian masks in half, and then they just plastered latex. And I'm not going to tell you what John Nathan Turner said about them when he saw them, but he's just basically said, don't get them on expletive camera sort of thing, because they look dreadful. So I sculpted that myself, trying to give it some love, based on the baby sculpt from Stephen Mansfield. And then again, another nice restoration I'm quite pleased with here, over in here, is, I don't know if you can see, there's a cheetah person, and the cheetah person there, the face mask and the cheetah person, they'd never been looked after by the BBC. When I got this, the cowl, everything's original except the mask had just literally turned to dust. So I sort of had to resculpt the sort of face parts, and I'm really pleased with that because I think it looks quite nice. So that's the sort of work, some of the work I do. And then Sophie Aldred, God love Sophie Aldred. She's been such a support to the museum. And she's donated things like, I don't know if you can see there are her boots, and she wore those boots from sort of Ghostlight, Survival. They're in most of the stories. And that is the original Hemivore, that concept that was made by Mike Tucker, sculpted that. And ultimately, it was rejected for being too rude. I'll let you work that one out.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
That's the finished. That's one of the finished ones. That's the Arctic Hemivore that appeared as it was. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to turn the camera around and just walk back through the little Doctor Who section for you. I don't know if you can see that.
Now I have a question. I know because we've got Mark back.
Yeah.
Do you actually have the Candyman?
Do I actually have what?
The Candyman.
No, the Candyman. Rob Alsop's visiting the museum actually in a few months. Who actually sculpted the Candyman?
Okay.
The Candyman does exist. I wish I'd got him. The problem is, guys, than me, much more money than me, get some of these things, and then they put them away in their cupboards and showroom.
Oh, he's going deeper into the dungeon of the Sci-Fi Museum.
He is. The problem is when he does that, you lose signal.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Just while I'm here, guys, here's some of my favorite bits of the museum. My favorite season is season 12 and 13. And we've got that's June's coat from Ark in Space, Galtec rifle from the Sontaran experiment. And then we've got donated by the son of the milkman at the BBC TV Centre. That is the...
That is a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger. We'll never know.
So there you go.
Now, Neil, we have a couple questions. We're going to hit to our commercial break after Brian asks questions. But Andrew continues, which you answered part of his question. Do you have anything from Blake 7?
Yes. Les McCallum is right. There's a story here, very quick. That Triffid, that's an original Triffid from the show, the Triffids. Margot Hayhoe was production manager, and Les McCallum was one of the art directors on the show who helped draw them to the Triffids. And he also drew the Liberator interiors, and he's donated recently his original drawing of the Liberator interiors. It's a huge sheet. I'm going to have to get it framed properly. And basically, yes, I've got a couple of costumes, but the best thing is this lovely drawing from Les. He's lovely. Les has been, again, so supportive to the museum, and he donated the actual flight deck plans of the Liberator, which blew my mind. And it's upstairs now. It needs to be archivally. That's the word, archivally framed, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
So there. I hope that helps.
That
I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit down, guys.
No, that's fine. Andrew asks, when is the museum open?
Right.
The museum's open hours.
All year round. There is it's all on the website, which is museumofclassicsci-fi.com. But basically, it's all year round, and it's open guaranteed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all year round. And then in school holidays, I open Wednesdays as well. The other 3 days, I'm either restoring, working, because basically, to restore anything in here, I have to pull huge sheets of glass out and make a massive mess, with everything from rubber, paint, wood, you name it, fiberglass. And so I have to keep it shut so I can actually, because I do everything from man the museum, man the website, the social media. I design the plaques, I do the restorations, I do the artwork, and I write the magazine. So I do so basically I need a little bit of time to sort of juggle my hats, if that makes sense.
No. It's the same thing here. I
yes,
totally sympathize when I get off work on my 8-hour shift. Here's another 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
Trying to book guests, get with conventions, think of new episodes, come up with ideas, and get the team together. So I understand when you got a second job. So no worries. We're going to get to more of your commercials. We're just going to take a commercial break. And in the chats right now, you can check out Neil's and I'll bring up your website in just a second, but just in case you want to jump off there, facebook.com/Neil Cole Adventures.
The Facebook is like my blog. It's a daily, weekly blog of what I do. Yeah.
I got you. We'll promise we'll get to your questions. We've just got a few commercials to run. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in. Sorry, I'm doing all this by myself, but we'll be right back. I always feel this way. When they leave me, they always leave me.
Jake Collins has been launched into the stratosphere by the popular social media app Yin Yang.
I just think it's incredible that someone from our hometown we knew so well.
That's my holy grail.
You are the closest thing this town has to a hero.
I'm still just Jake.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
And I think we do have his description. Can we take that? Let's take his description. Okay.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
Seen Phantasmagoria here live on our here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. You're in for a treat. You definitely want to check out their shows. They're still performing out there. The next show will actually be on the 19th in Ocala, the Riley Arts Festival at the Tampa Theater on the 22nd. They'll be back in Orlando at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center the 26th, the 27th, the 28th. To land on the 29th at the Athens Theater, and in Leesburg at the Melon Patch Theater on November 3rd and 4th for their final run. If you've never seen Phantasmagoria, please do. Next month on the 14th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they will be returning to do a very special holiday that will combine, from what Lord Byron has told me, Halloween and Christmas. I really got to see what they're going to do. They're going to do a holiday combination between the two. They were supposed to be here for October, but you can see they are very busy throughout the month, and they were rehearsing and performing. So we are just happy to see them. Again, mark your calendars, November 14th. Neil, you got to come and check them out because the stuff that they do, and you can see classic episodes from previous episodes from years past. You just go on our YouTube channel, type in Phantasmagoria, and pull up the list. I think they've done Halloween as well as Christmas. My name is Christian Basil. Welcome back, folks. We have our very special guest, Neil Cole, from his museum. Put in the chats the Facebook page. So if you want information, that's where Neil says he does his blog. As far as putting stuff out there, by all means, check it out there. You can check him over at you look surprised. It's like, what? You can check Neil out over at his Sci-Fi Science Fiction Museum of Sci-Fi. Am I saying that right, or am I just rewording stuff out there, Neil?
It's the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi.
The Museum of Classic Sci-Fi. Check it out, and check out all the stuff that you are seeing here live. Also, I got this picture out here.
That was at a recent big celebration of the Blackpool Doctor Who exhibition, and I was very kindly invited as a guest because the museum is in fun. It is a tribute to that original exhibition. That's why the lights are coloured, they're low. It's a twisty-turny corridor. It's not like the new Doctor Who exhibitions the BBC does, which are sort of big, brightly lit rooms. it's dark, it's atmospheric, and it's how the original exhibitions were. So I was very kindly invited to take part in this convention about that, which was rather lovely.
Gotcha. And as we continue to explore the depths of Neil's museum there, we're getting to your chats out there. First of all, we got Andrew. He's got, do you use a crowdfunder for the museum? Yeah, what can people, just donate money to keep all the Doctor Who stuff out there going?
What I do have, Andrew, is I have a Friends of the Museum scheme, which I came from, as I keep saying this, I did come from quite a poor background, and I know the value of money, and I know that people don't have a lot of it. And so I wanted to keep the museum as open to as many people as possible, because as a little boy, I didn't get to see very much. And I thought, I don't want my museum to be one of those places people can't afford to get to or to see. So basically, I have a monthly subscriber scheme, but if you subscribe, you get a lot for that. I do a magazine, which is a really high quality magazine, or PDF, whichever you prefer. And you get free entry, all those sorts of benefits. So I have that. I did a crowdfunder at the start, but I did all this, my father-in-law helped. We did all the stonework myself. The only crowdfunder I did was Lisa, my wife. She said, look, if you want to get open, you're going to need a bit of help. And it was basically the glass. I needed security glass. And I think we crowdfunded, I'm trying to think, it was about £3,000, I think, to get the glass. And that really helped get us open. But generally, these plaques, you probably see they're dedicated.
Yes.
All those dedications are people who helped fund the museum. They're people who chucked in 20 quid, 50 quid, whatever, to help me get the glass. And it was a big, this was, I honestly do not have a lot of money. So this was I was just so overwhelmed really by people's just generosity and kindness to it. But the nice thing is, I do artwork as well. I draw for people. I've got my first official Doctor Who book coming out in February, which has got my artwork in. And I can't tell you much about it because I'm sworn to secrecy on it. And so I just try, hopefully, when people donate, I give back as well and show them how grateful I am with the magazines and the various publications. And we've had a great DVD from Real Time as well come out from Keith Barnfather, Real Time, about the museum as well, Doctor on Display.
Gotcha there. And I'm hoping, I can barely see the thumbnail, but I'm hoping this is who I think it is. Yes!
Oh, yes.
Came from Fire.
Doctor.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That is from Dragonfire. That is the Longleat display head. Obviously, the original was a sculpted skull with a wax outer, which was destroyed. That was made at the time of production, especially for the Longleat exhibition, because there wasn't a cane head left by the end of filming. So that head is probably the most photographed cane head in existence, because it's the one that all those thousands of people who've gone through, it's been on exhibition for decades, that head. And it's one of the screen-used helmets to go with it. That was on screen. The actual helmet, it said, the head and the hands were made especially by Stephen Mansfield and Sue Moore, who worked on that show, so that they had something to take to exhibition to show that year. So it's a lovely piece.
That's great.
Neil, what's your favourite item in your museum?
My favourite item, I think, is probably, it's very difficult. I'm very fond of like the pterodactyl and things, but I think my favorite piece, I think, was my favorite show was the Sontaran experiment which was shot on Dartmoor. I love Steyer, Field Major Steyer. I love that story. I remember it as a child, and I managed to get one of the Galsec guns from the Sontaran experiment. And it's a metal gun. It was then used by Callie in Blake 7. It was the gun that she used. They redressed it. So it's appeared in both Blake 7 and Doctor Who. But it's a lovely piece. And also, it's very difficult because I think now my favorite two Doctor Who stories of all time are the Ark in Space, which goes into the Sontaran experiments. To have one of the uniforms from the Ark in Space and the Galsec rifle is really special to me, I think. So they're lovely pieces. It's really difficult to say, but I tell you what, I love Ace's boots. The fact I've got to know Sophie a little bit, and the fact that they are the boots she wore in so many stories, I look at those now and I think, yeah, they're so distinctive. And they're an example of an off-the-shelf prop. Sophie and Ken True, the costume designer, they just went down, Carnaby Street, wherever it was in London, and they just went and bought Ace's outfit. Sophie's told me all this. And these were just the shoes they chose. But it's just a lovely pair that have been in so many Doctor Who stories. And they're quite charming. And the fact they came directly from Sophie is rather lovely. So I'm very fond of those as well. But it's a tricky one. But I love monsters, and I've got a soft spot for the Garm as well. Bless him. Poor old Garm. Gets not a lot of love. I love him.
And here's the Garn restoration. There you go.
Yeah, that was it was snowing. It was horrendous. He'd been shortened to be put in Llangollen, the Llangollen Museum, which was amazing, which I was lucky enough to go to. The Llangollen Museum, they'd shrunk him to fit in this, what was a car garage. It was like a car dealer's garage. And they shrunk him down, and actually he was shrunk down to below the knee. So he was like this sort of tiny version of the Garm. It was all wrong. So the first thing I had to do was get him back to his height. And I managed to get him so his head sits between the two beams to get him up to his proper height. It was quite a job. Yeah.
Now I'm also seeing here, here's a picture. It says filming lockdown in the museum.
Yeah. If you give me 1 second, hang on, I'm coming back. I'll be with you 1 second.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm coming. Hang on.
Gotcha, there. He keeps on mentioning about Ace's shoes. I'm going, fetish?
No. Oh, my.
I'm back. Keith Barnfather, real-time pictures. I've got on screen. I don't know if you can show me on screen now. But that, I'm holding it up now. That is the lockdown. That is the video lockdown. It's won loads of awards. Sophie.
Oh,
yes.
Got it.
That was filmed in the museum, and then this was the sort of follow-up DVD. I'm really proud of this DVD. This was Keith Barnfather came with Sophie, and it's the story of the museum, and it's the first episode in a series. Each episode, it's called Doctor on Display, and each episode tells the story of one of the Doctor Who exhibitions. Now, to my absolute privilege, Keith decided to start with My Little Museum as Volume 1. And it tells the full story of the construction. I'm also on Netflix. I'm on Amazing Interiors Episode 3. But that was heavily the Netflix crew. They said, don't worry, Neil, it's all about you. It's your story. And the first thing they said to me when I sat down in front of the cameras was, I don't like your clothes you're wearing. And I said, have you not got anything more colourful? And I went, colourful? I said, look, I do black and blue. They said, can we look at your wardrobe? And I went, yeah, knock yourself out, but you're going to find black and blue. And they stopped filming for a full day to drive up the road to Newcastle, which is about an hour and a half away, and bought me colourful shirts. And I thought, wow, this is about me. And I ended up wearing for the whole filming a yellow American football top. I know nothing about American football. I'm not into sport at all. And they wouldn't let me wear my Rush T-shirt or a Doctor Who shirt, anything about me. It was a crazy sort of shoot. Whereas Keith's video is actually the story of the museum. It's about the real me, and it's not some sort of doctored for streaming channels sort of thing. And I'm very proud of it. And Sophie Aldred obviously came and filmed here and did all that, which was amazing. And so Sophie's done a lot of filming here, and so hence we got to know her quite well. And she's actually one of the most lovely people beyond the world of Doctor Who that you're going to meet. She's one of those genuine people. She's absolutely fab. The link to the DVDs, Andrew, is if you go on Time Travel TV and look in, if you just Google Time Travel TV in real time, and you'll find the full range of real-time videos. I don't work for real time, by the way. Keith Barnfather is actually coming to do the next real-time DVD here, and it's going to be called The Monster Man, and it's about my restoration work of the props, because what this DVD, the museum DVD, is more about the museum rather than the restoration work. And what we decided to do is do a new documentary about restoring these old monsters, which is a story in themselves, really, because the BBC had really given up on them. They sold the last ones off in 2010, and they were really just, they were falling to bits. They just wouldn't be here. Some went to New Zealand. Some of the props went to New Zealand, and they perished in the climate and some floods. So a lot of the classic props that were in Blackpool in 2010 sadly are no longer with us. And again, if the BBC hadn't sold them all and had looked after them, we'd have these. And I think because Doctor Who is such an important show and such a perennial show, the BBC should have shown some custodianship and should have looked after these things. They're unique items and they resonate with people. You know, there's art galleries around my area of the neck of the woods that get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds of art council money every year. And all of this stuff is being looked after by me with no budget, zero, depending on the kindness of other fans, really. And it's crazy because this stuff resonates in a way that some of these big art galleries and things just do not connect with a lot of people. I don't mean to be horrible about that. I just think that there's a place for both. But this stuff, popular culture, it's almost looked down upon by art establishments sometimes, you know. It's like, oh, it's silly. It's just TV. No, this is our childhood. This takes me back to being with my mum and dad who died many years ago. I'm back watching, you know, special things. This evokes a lot of memories for a lot of people. And I think, so thankfully I managed to save a few of the monsters. Some of them unfortunately went. But I will continue to try and keep them alive as long as I can.
So, Neil, is there anything you have worked on which would say, like, no, I can't work on it, it's gone, it's perished?
Yeah. Two things, actually. Sorry, Candyman, what's your name?
Mark Robinson.
Sorry, Mark. I am so sorry, Mark. I didn't know how you'd feel if I called you Candy. You know what I mean?
No, that's fine, Neil.
I didn't know if we were friendly enough for Candy yet.
Anyway, after drinking in the pub and like getting ushered out of the event up by yours.
Oh, I know. I've just recognised you now. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yeah. How are you? That was amazing. I thought, you know, it's funny, isn't it, when you see people out of context. I'm with it now. Yes, sorry. So you've been to the museum, haven't you? You know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. The two things, Mark, that I couldn't do. I've got a Warriors of the Deep head upstairs at Silurian, and for some reason the rubber of those Silurians is bizarre. It turns to dust. It's very good to restore things. What you need to do is make them stiff inside. You know, you need to stop them rubber creaking to start with. You don't want these things to move anymore. Every creak you see bits come off, dust comes off. So first thing is stop the things moving, get them fixed and onto a base. And unfortunately, that one is so fragile. If I just even look at it, it's there now and it's doing my head in because I don't know what to do. The other one is, again, they were made from incredibly fragile rubber, is a Vervoid. I'm restoring a Vervoid at the minute, which I've got to in the nick of time. And that's my next big monster to go in the museum. But another friend contacted me and said, look, I've got this Vervoid mask. And I took one look at it and I was just like, wow. It was buckled beyond any ability to reshape. And I said, really, all you can do with that is sort of embalm it in resin and then frame it in like a box frame with a picture. Because there comes a point where they're just very rare. But unfortunately, the thing is, every year goes by where these things are not taken care of. It just gets, you know, you've got to thank, like there's a hemivore, the Arctic hemivore I got to about 15 years ago, and there's been no deterioration on that. And I think some of these pieces, like the Davros head, Michael Wisher's Davros head, right? If I could have got to that 15 years ago, it's been stuck in somebody's loft, apparently, getting hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. And it's Michael Wisher's head has been allowed to just drop to bits. And it could have been saved. And it's so annoying, you know. But Mark, can I just say, Mark, and we had a great weekend, didn't we, Mark?
Yeah.
Sorry. And basically, Mark dressed up as a unit soldier outside the museum and spectacularly went for a wander into the annual sort of carnival, whereby I think some of the more sensitive amongst the village thought Mark was on some sort of spree.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And,
it was hilarious. How much
yeah.
flack did you get from it, Neil?
How much flack did I get from it? Basically, I can't swear, as I've said I won't, but I told a lot of people where to go about it and to get a sense of humour. And really, I said, you know, if you see somebody in a sort of military uniform standing posing with a Dalek in your village and you have a sci-fi museum, try and put two and two together and not overreact. You know, really?
Yeah.
Smiling
that was classic.
outside, standing beside a Dalek. what does he look like he's going to do? Seriously? That was my take on it. Most people saw the funny side. It was just one or two people who are a little bit highly strung, bless them, who just need to take a chill pill and just relax. But, you know, there you go.
The other thing as well, if you ever visit Neil's museum, he doesn't just have Doctor Who stuff. He has loads of other stuff like the Marvel, Star Wars.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah. The reason I wanted to open purely a Doctor Who museum, the reality is you can't do that. You know, you can't. The BBC would not allow that to happen. So half the museum became science fiction, which was no hardship, in fairness, because I love sci-fi. I love John Wyndham and I love H.G. Wells. So I began with those places. And then, so the idea of the museum, folks, for anyone who does know nothing about it, the ground plan was to try and get an object, whether it's a cufflink, a script page, or a full monster, from as many episodes of Doctor Who as I could, and chronologically make a journey through Classic Who. Each item meticulously researched, not just like a picture. I went to a BBC exhibition and it had a Jadoon, and there was a picture of a Jadoon, and there was a sign with Jadoon written on it. And I wanted to go up to someone and go, look, I watched the show. I know what a ruddy Jadoon looks like. I know that is a Jadoon, and I know that's how you spell Jadoon. Can I have some more information, please, about a Jadoon that I possibly don't already know? Because that is for the bleeding obvious. Do you know what I mean? A hamster can work out that this is a Jadoon. I'm a Doctor Who fan. I've traveled a long way, and it would just be nice to have a little bit more. And so that's what I'm trying to do with every item. And Mark will know this because you've been to the museum. I've tried to, the best of my abilities is research everything so that if you come here, you hopefully you'll find there's some depth to it. A proper museum as opposed to just an exhibition, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I'm ranting now.
No, that's fine. We're going to go into the after party, and then we got more questions. I'll let you when we go to the after party. I'll let you continue then, Mark. So just a reminder for everybody, we're going to continue our discussion with Neil. So if you are watching, please continue to watch because Neil's got a lot more. We got a lot to talk about. And there's something I also want to mention as well on a kind of personal level. It's kind of weird there. But right now, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. YouTube.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Again, for everybody who is going to be here tomorrow, noon tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. on the UK, 9 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. We're going to be interviewing Sylvester McCoy. He's going to be here for a short time, so you want to be here. Get your questions ready, but definitely he's going to be here. He will be going to Gods and Monsters this Saturday with Fraser Hines, Dalek Hal, and myself will be there from 1 to 4, so don't forget that. Also, if you haven't already, if you like listening to us in the audio, what you're doing right now, most of you, if you're hearing this, iHeartRadio, Sci-Fi.radio, download the app for free, Odyssey, Spotify, Spreaker, Podbean, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. By all means, do that. We're also on TikTok. Nobody really follows us on TikTok, so it's okay. And plus, if you want to play Worlds Apart for free, go ahead. Worlds Apart Doctor Who worldsapart.com /r/4276. We're just going in the after party, so everybody who is still watching, we will continue because I have one thing I want to say, and this is kind of, it sounds weird, but it's actually from a personal level. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in. We'll be right back. Here we go into the after party. You who are listening and you want to watch more, go over to our Facebook page and YouTube channel where you can watch that. I just want to add this. There's a certain showrunner who I was really miffed about, who said that this person wasn't going to use classic monsters. And I screamed at the top of my lungs, you have a treasure trove, as we've seen in your museum, of all these monsters that are just sitting there collecting dust. I think they should have their say in the museum. I'm hoping what we can do is bring all these guys back and expand on more of the history that we only got maybe 1 or 2 episodes on. So I'm really hoping all these monsters make a return in some form of fashion, because I really think you're sitting on a treasure trove of stories that have yet to be unearthed even more, in my opinion. Go ahead, Candyman. Go for it, Mark. Sorry.
No, that's fine. You just went a little bit underwater there, Christian.
I did.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
You did your monologue underwater.
Yeah.
Oh, did my microphone? Oh God, sorry. Hang on. Go ahead, Mark.
So that's right. Do you want to carry on with your monologue?
Can I just apologise profoundly to Mark for not recognising you, Mark, because of A, you were called Candyman, and B, you weren't in a paramilitary outfit, and it really threw me.
Look, me doing unit, I never just you wouldn't believe how I don't do unit, do you? Yeah. So Neil,
yes.
I know you've gone through, and I know I've turned up late. If you could make your museum bigger, would you move it to another location, or would you happy to have it where it is underneath your house?
That is a question I get asked a lot. The bottom line is, I'm not wealthy. I mean, we've managed to pay off this house. We've done a lot of work to it. The problem I've got is in my 50s now. I don't want to, probably not allowed to, take on a massive mortgage. Just purely practically. And if I'm honest, I don't want a massive mortgage, thanks. But if we got some grant funding or something like that, yes, it's certainly something I'd love to do in a way, because I could fill double the space, triple the space, and I could spread things out more. But I think, would I move venue? Yeah, I probably would, to be fair. I love the village. I love Allendale. It's kind of got known for Doctor Who now. It's a lovely place to visit. If you don't know where, basically, if you don't know where it is, it's halfway between the Lake District and the Roman Wall. So when people come here, I always send them up to the Roman Wall for a coffee if they want to, or go, you're very close to the lake. So it's a nice place. It's more than a nice place. It's a lovely place. And for those of you who don't know, the village supported me through a massive crisis. I spent 2 years restoring what had become an eyesore in the village. And we put the Dalek outside the museum, and the bunch of council heavies turned up. I'm talking the blokes in the sort of like, basically what like Mark looked like, the paramilitary lot, turned up to close the museum. They wanted to close us for putting a Dalek outside a listed building. That was despite the fact we'd restored a listed building. We got on national telly and all sorts. It was the best publicity we could have had. 50 Daleks were built in protest around the village, but it was very stressful. It was a 2-year fight to keep the museum open, and all because one of the planners had decided that the Dalek shouldn't be outside a listed building. So I'm the village itself has been so supportive. I kind of really love it here, and I love the fact the village is so, the village is so supportive of what I've done, and it brings extra people to the area. I guess if there was the right property, and I had the finances to do it, it would be. And there are places I know we'd get more visitors. That's always difficult. I was down in Cornwall in the summer, and I realized there was a little village there, and I saw the number of visitors they had, and I thought, wow, if the museum was down there, it would be, there'd be so many people could come. But it's nice doing something in the north of England. I mean, I'm from the north. I'm from this area, and I get a lot of people saying should be down in London. I think, well, no. Look, I've had to travel all my life to London to see stuff. Get your backside up here. Get on a train if you can get one. You travel up here. It's a beautiful area, and so I'm quite proud of this being in the north, really. And but in answer, Mark, I think if we could, if the right building, basically, I'm not going to bankrupt myself. I'm not going to take a sort of crazy risk at my age to take on some big building. One of the reasons this is affordable is that I live above it. So therefore, I'm not got the overheads. When COVID hit, for example, if I'd had another building, I'd have been finished, with I could just close it. And it's also handy. I'm constantly working in here, putting new props in, restoring new bits. I'm restoring a Weeping Angel at the minute, which was very come to me. So I'm doing that as well. So I'm on hand, but I can't pretend some more space would be lovely. That's not really an answer, isn't it? That's an everything answer, Mark.
Yeah, it is. But I can understand. For because you got the museum underneath your house, you got more security. You got because there's a lot of stuff there. The village is quite quaint, and it's quite a nice little village.
It's a place that you can come and relax. I always say to people who travel, we had somebody watching this called Genevieve who traveled from Australia to London, and she traveled for the weekend to Allendale from London just to visit the museum. And she's been a wonderful support of the museum. And it was a good example. She came and stayed the weekend in the village, had a really nice, relaxing weekend, and just popped in and out of the museum and saw the local, went up the Roman wall, did all that stuff. And that's the way I think to do it. If you're from away, come up. It's a lovely place to visit, and it's the village itself really chilled out. It's a really relaxing place. So hopefully people enjoy it when they come here.
And there's a couple of nice pubs as well.
Oh yeah. If you can get in them, I find that if you approach a local pub not in paramilitary outfit, you get far more service from the bar staff.
I actually got more service when I was in paramilitary.
Yeah, or more service, but maybe it's a little bit anxious.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Am I still underwater?
No, you're fine, Christian.
Oh, it's back. Did anybody hear what I had to say, or is that gone? Earlier, what I said earlier before the.
You just sound like you're underwater.
Shut it! I'll drown you from here.
You underwater menace you?
I don't know if anybody heard what I said earlier, and I said I have a disagreement with one showrunner recently who said that they weren't going to use classic Who monsters, and I said, you know what, the showrunners before you, I think did it well. They brought in new ones and they brought in old ones, and I think you have a treasure trove in there, Neil. Really classic stuff. There's stories that are unwritten, characterizations untold, things that are untapped in there that people should be able to see. You can bring in the old stuff and pull it in with the new stuff, but all those monsters in there, I think they should come back and see the light of day.
My only feeling, Christian, is this, right? My favorite monster, I've already said, my favorite Doctor Who monster of all time is Field Major Steyr. I think he's a creepy, nasty piece of work. He experiments on humans. He's a complete, I can't say the word, he's horrible. And he's smiling in his sinister way all the time. He's drowning people and starving them, and he's a complete git. Anyway, I love the Sontarans. But when they brought them back, right, you've got Neil Gorton did the most incredible job on Chris Ryan's face, with the commander. I forget his name. But the writer, to me, just lost the plot in that the Sontarans are basically like the Klingons of Star Trek, I always think. Doctor Who's Klingons. They just want to fight. They want to scrap. They're the pub. They're the bullies. They're the football hooligans. They're the complete pains in the backside of the universe, really. And they brought them back in sort of light-coloured blue, which is rather pretty, but it's not gunmetal, And then they employed a teenage boy to poison everybody on Earth with gas before coming down. It's like, no, they just descend, get out, and want a scrap. They just want to kick everyone in. And I thought, if you're going to bring them back, please, please, please read the previous stories and follow them on. And that to me was one of the, because it's my favorite monster, that was one of the most disappointing, stories, because I thought, this isn't the Sontarans. Field Major Steyr was down on the planet fighting, generally being horrible to humans and in person. He wasn't going to a local high school and saying, excuse me, I'll stay off world and I'll observe while you tinker. No, that's not the Sontarans. And I think you've just got to make sure. I think the Silurians was another one. They brought back the Silurians, and I think you've got such a wonderful mask. And again, Neil Gorton did he did a version of it, which was vetoed by the higher ups. And it would have been wonderful. But instead, they went for what looked more like a Cardassian sort of Star Trek approach, to the point where they weren't Silurians really. I mean, they were kind of Silurians. Don't get me wrong. They were nice in their own right. They were actually a beautiful mask in their own right. But I think that's the thing with the old monsters. Like the Pterodactyl, it's a gorgeous design. And, if you're going to bring that back, please do. But just go back to that history and do it right. When they brought the Daleks back, I have to say, the first 2 Dalek stories in 2005 were stunning. They brought back the menace completely. And then they sort of went off-piste a bit with the Manhattan one, where the Daleks ended up on stage, if I remember, with pig people. And that was
They were taste the rainbow.
And they brought them back so successfully, those first Dalek and then the Bad Wolf stuff. They were so badass Daleks again. And then, what I mean? They were really good. And it's just, you just got to treat these old monsters with a bit of care, just look at them. Ice Warriors, why give them 3 fingers? They've got claws for, it's just think about it. That's all I'm saying, Christian. Just think about it. Be kind to your oldies. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was like the Sea Devils. I remember when the Sea Devils were coming out of the ocean and they were menacing during the Third Doctor. Now all of a sudden the Sea Devil could jump all the way across to a boat. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I didn't watch that episode. I think they did the masks very well. I actually know, very good friend of mine is two friends of mine are the people who made the masks for that show. And I know they did their very best to. They really did with the faces honor the original masks. I think I haven't seen the episode, to my shame.
No, it's not your shame. It was from what I.
Yeah.
From when we reviewed it, we weren't happy about it. It was
no. Do you know what it is? Here's a theory. Okay.
Sure.
My theory with these old classic Doctor Who monsters, especially if you're in the UK. I used to go on family holidays to the beach. So suddenly Silurians coming out of a cold North Sea really resonated with anybody who lives in the UK on a cold day, on a caravan holiday with their parents. You're walking the dog, throwing a frisbee for the dog, and then suddenly all these things come out of the sea. If you set something so far away around the world, say it was China, I think, ancient China, whilst it's exciting, it's ambitious, I don't think it actually resonates as much as the Sea Devils coming out of a river that's down the bottom of your street. Or do you know what I mean? There's something about that. Like the crinoid was in the woodlands at night, you know, and it was sort of bobbing around in the seeds of doom. And there's something about that. I walk my dog at night through some woods, and it's like I can understand the terror of suddenly seeing a giant lump of moss flying towards me. You know what I mean? And it's that the monster in a familiar setting has a kind of something nice about it. You know what I mean?
I would argue a little bit that it's in a familiar setting that's not familiar, meaning you can't see what's in the ocean.
Yes.
So as far as you know, there's 50 of them coming out of the ocean. You can't see in the backwoods at dark.
Yeah.
So there could be 100 of them coming out over there.
I mean,
the idea is that they're slow, they're menacing, and that music back then was just supporting everything that was going on.
That's what happened tonight in Allendale with Mark. They saw Mark in his paramilitary outfit, but there could have been 50 of him just round the corner. It was like that film Red Dawn, you know. I thought
you wanted to be 50 marks coming out of nowhere.
Christian,
yeah, that's what it was.
Christian, can you put up the photograph?
Sorry?
Yeah, I do have the photograph. Hang on. There were a couple of photographs that. First of all, I wanted to send the photograph that Andrew sent.
John Levine. Lovely John Levine.
There, right outside, and there it is. 50 of those guys coming out after you.
That's right. They saw Mark and they thought he was just the first force. He was linked. The rest of the Sontaran army were behind him.
But they cut the budget.
And that's a Dalek, which is infamous. Is that the Dalek, which is infamous?
Yes, it's the Alan Dalek, yeah. The council trying to get rid of it.
I want to be a little bit fair. We have our questions have backed up a little bit, so I want to.
Sorry,
make sure.
I'll keep the answer.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Sorry,
No. It's fine. Some of them are kind of quick there. Well, first of all, does Neil Cole get many guests at his museum? So, what would you say is an average amount on an average day?
Blimey. Winter, 1 or 2 a day, if you're lucky. So I do writing, drawing, everything else. Summer, gosh, I don't know, 30, 40 people. I don't know, probably more, 50 people maybe. It's a lot for a little space, you know. It's very busy.
Me if I get over there someday.
Yeah, no, basically summertime is very busy. So that's when you actually make your money in this. I'm new to all this. I've been a teacher for years. I'm used to getting a salary at the end of the month, you know. So this is all news to me. So basically it varies massively. It was the same with the Doctor Who exhibition at Cardiff. The reason it's shut was that at times in the week, you had that huge complex, right? You might have 12 people in the week, literally 12 people in all of that. Then summer weekends, chocker. But then it's just, and that's what I found. You've got to make, with a museum, you've got to make it sustainable by having different strands to it. And I'm on a learning curve. You know, I do educational workshops because I can teach, which is quite handy. And there's an art center across the road. So I can teach in there. It's all sorts of strange things like, you know, you've got to, I'm going to shut up because there's other questions.
No, you're fine. I mean, you get the explanation, but there is a little bit back. Now, Ramona says, what is your strangest sci-fi acquisition?
Oh, good. That's a good question. Strangest. Oh.
That's not Tom Baker.
It's not Tom Baker. Strangest acquisition.
You're going to walk over there and see Tom Baker behind us.
I'll tell you what's a really good one,
what's that?
Which I love, is the punch head, the Manusan punch puppet head from Snake Dance. It is a little puppet head that was in. If you watch Snake Dance and you see this, there's a Punch and Judy show.
Oh yeah. I think I remember.
It's the Punch head, and it was made by a guy called Barry Smith, who could make traditional Punch and Judy puppet heads. He's now a drummer in America, believe it or not, and he's been in contact. He's a lovely guy. He also helped make Mestor's costume. And getting that little punch head, that's a special little piece. It's beautiful. Oh, and Abankan feet, right? The Abankan feet, Stratford John's feet from Fort of Doomsday are Marks and Spencer's slippers with bits of wood stuck in the end for toes, wrapped round in Modrock bandage and painted in latex. And they look rubbish, but on screen, they're fantastic. And I just love the fact that would be a sculpted item now. You know, you'd have MFX or whatever just sculpting this foot. Nah. Not in the old days. Get some Marks and Spencer slippers. Just get the old Modrock out, and off you go. So it's things like that I love. Yeah.
Roger has a two-part question. He wants to know if you have anything from Krypton and
as in the show. Is that a show, Krypton?
Yes, and not the TV show, the planet. Like, did any asteroids come to your house and fall down?
Some would probably say I was the bad seed from Superman,
and Star Wars
origin. No, unfortunately not. Anything Star Wars? Yeah, do you want something special, Andrew, from Star Wars? Do you really want to know this? I don't ever show this to people. I'm going to show you it. You ready?
Oh my God!
Now, I don't show this to people because I get people from America who claim to be experts giving me hassle. A guy,
really?
Yeah. They say that's not real. That's not this. This here. Right, is in 1976 Star Wars prototype Stormtrooper, made by a chap who worked on A New Hope, and he and his father worked on fiberglassing, and basically this was it's very old fiberglass. It's yellow inside. It's very old. This was made and rejected. It weighs an absolute ton. It was too heavy to use, and it was junked. And John, the guy who did it, who worked also on Blade Runner, he's basically had to go into a retirement home, and he very kindly said, I'd like this to go in your museum. So we have a prototype Stormtrooper armor in the museum. I will now get people coming and saying, it's not real. And it's like, I don't care. It's real. It came from the guy who made it, who worked on the film. That's it. But that's why I don't show it very often, because I got fed up of people going, it's not it. And this man knows better because he's an expert. Well, I got it from somebody who worked on the film, and that's it. And
Neil, it's not real. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Ramona says,
it's not fair. Sorry, yes.
I know BP Props did a restoration of the Triffid. Is that the same one?
No, I did all the restoration of my Triffid. I'm actually doing a magazine on that. I do all my own restoration. PB Props is brilliant. I love his work. No, the Triffid in here, which is around the corner. In fact, I'll take you there now. Might as well, while you've got me. This little Triffid, this came direct from Margot Hayhoe. Now, Margot Hayhoe was the production manager of the Triffids, and I got this from her. She'd had it since 1981, but the clackers at the front and the head had all worn out, had gone, and I resculpted the head, and I resculpted all the clackers and the leaves. And then she very kindly put it into the museum. And so that is our little Triffid. It's one of the screen use miniatures from episode 1 from the Triffid farm. And so I did all the sculpting and restoration. That's all on my Facebook page as well, if you want to see the sort of blow-by-blow account and stuff like
Andrew,
that.
On top of that question, Andrew has asked if you were in contact with the BP Props.
I have been in contact with PB Prop, and do you know what? I keep forgetting his name, which is why it's a bit awkward, because he doesn't go by his normal name. And I do know his name, but I forget everybody's name, including Mark, even though he was dressed as a paramilitary in Allendale. But basically, yes, I do. I love his work. And yes, I do all my own restorations. Basically, that's a way I can afford to do this, because the average restoration fee per day is 400 quid. I can't afford 400 quid a day. So I do it all myself, basically. And that is how. I mean, the Pteroleptor would have cost me thousands of pounds to restore, far more than it cost to buy the actual prop. So I took this on knowing I would have to do a lot of the work myself.
How long would you say it will take you to do? Like,
say again?
How long to restore a prop?
Oh, you can never say, because they're all different. That's the problem with prop restoration. No two jobs are the same. So the Tetrap head was completely kettle of fish because it was a fiberglass underskull. And then the weight of the rubber was pulling it down. So the first job was to sort of insert props and rods and stop it crumbling on itself, stabilize it, then resculpt on the top. And no two jobs are the same, Mark, because the pterodactyl, for example, had no groins. So it was like its legs had come off effectively. So it was trying to pose the legs, stop them moving, and then make a structure with fiberglass to sculpt on the gap. You know, that took ages. And then in that job, I had to match up the scales right. And I did them wrong the first time. And I got so into it. I was so enjoying it, you know, sort of ADHD, deep focus, nice music on. Here I am sculpting pterodactyl scales. Fantastic. And then I realized they were the wrong size I'd done. I was like, bah! And I had to do them again. It's just if you actually have a time limit, I would struggle with that because I think it's difficult. Do you know what I mean? Just tricky. Anyway,
Mike,
sorry, next question.
No, you're fine. Mike asks, wasn't Silver Nemesis filmed there, or have I misheard you?
Yeah, Silver Nemesis has nothing to do with me here. Silver Nemesis, I think Sophie wore those boots in Silver Nemesis, or did she? Or did she wear a Doc Martens in that one? Good question. Trying to think.
Anybody with a foot fetish, let us know.
Any new projects?
Yeah.
Yes,
Ramona?
I can answer. Ramona, yes. Ramona, Keith is coming up next month to start filming a documentary about me restoring. I've kept all this sort of documented footage of my restorations. I've filmed myself over the years. So I've got several years of restorations of classic Doctor Who monsters, and he's going to compile them all. And we're going to do a little video. And then we've got coming to the museum. We've got people like Matt Irvin, Mike Tucker, Stephen Mansfield are coming to the museum and hopefully get their input as well, maybe.
Andrew Moore says, I wonder what happened to the green bubble wrap from Ark in Space. That's at my house.
Andrew, I know someone who's got a section of that.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. He won't part with it. The chap in question, I'm not going to say because there'll be prop dealers who'll try to hassle him and it's not fair because this is the problem. Prop dealers are ruthless. I never ask anybody to sell anything because I'm not that sort of person. You know, if something's for sale, I'll have a go, or someone wants to donate it, that's fine. But there are dealers who will be aggressively at people. It's like, that's not me. You know, at the end of the day, the chap who's got it values it very much. And I hope I know it's a very special piece to him. It is literally green bubble wrap.
Gotcha. Yep. Roger says, he's speaking to you as a third person here, has Neil Cole about Doctor Who and Adventure of Space and Time and Space in Art Museum.
I have heard about it. And one of my good friends is a chap called Colin Howard, who did some of the wonderful. Colin's visited a few times. I love Colin. I love his work. I'm lucky enough to have a bit of his work in the museum. I'm also lucky enough to have quite a lot of Andrew Scaletta original artworks in the museum too.
It's okay, Mike.
And basically, I've heard of that museum very much. Yeah, I think it'll be fantastic. Exhibition. I think it'll be fantastic. It's Jeff Cummins, who's a lovely bloke, lovely artist. There's some great objects going in there.
I guess this is a kind of a two-part question. Basically, if there was if money was
I can answer that in a flash. Andrew, in a flash, 2 items, right? The Doctor Who item, anything from a classic Sontaran, preferably Field Major Steyr, right? Any bit of Field Major Steyr, I would probably sell a kidney for. Similarly, and in non-Doctor Who, I would love one of my favorite artists is H.R. Giger, however you want to pronounce it, and a bit of the original Xenomorph. That film is still an amazing piece. I've got some alien bits, but nothing from I've got one of Brett's caps, but I haven't got anything beyond that. But basically, a bit of the Xenomorph, a bit of H.R. Giger sculpted work I would adore for here.
And what are your favorite new Who monsters or aliens?
That's an interesting question. I don't watch. Now, here's the thing. I'm very much stuck in the classic years. My favorites, I probably see. I don't like what they've done to some of them. Like, for example, I prefer the classic Zygon to the new Zygon. You know, but I think probably I've got a little new Who section now because people have been very kind and donated bits, and it's nice to have it in. I quite like the Dream Crab as a sort of a concept. It's quite unpleasant. And I quite like the design of the masks. I've got one of those in the museum. I just recently watched some Capaldi ones. I quite like Oxygen. And I like the zombies in Oxygen.
Okay.
But I think my favorite new Who stuff would probably be something like, the episode Midnight, where there's no actual visual monster. And I think that episode is a fantastic even as as not a particular fan of the new show, I still think that's a fantastic episode of Sci-Fi. Generally, it's a great piece, and it's actually better for not having a monster, if you know what I mean. And Leslie Sharp and Tennant are fantastic in that.
I think if you had no budget and you had more space, I think you should make a room that's like a big fountain with the creatures from the Mars, the waters of Mars.
Oh yeah, that's a
You're
good.
Passing through a tunnel and there's water splashing all over.
Really good episode. That was another of the new series episodes I really liked. Do I have props from each classic Doctor? Pretty much, except for now Hartnell wise. No, I've got a prop from Evil of the Daleks. I've got. Yeah, it is intact, Andrew. I've got bits from Hartnell, just paperwork bits. I've got scripts and paperwork. There are a few props of it in existence from Hartnell, but they're all in the hands of very, very wealthy collectors, and they are sadly in private collections, which is. It's just a shame. I mean, it's what it is. I get it. I understand people want stuff. I mean, heck, I had a private collection, but it would be nice that some of these things were in where you can see them, basically. You know what I mean? Because when you come here, by the way, you come in, you can spend all blinking day in here for me. I don't mind. People come in here for hours. Go and have a coffee and come back. I don't care. You can take pictures or, film it. Do whatever you want. The whole point is we need to share this stuff. It shouldn't be just hidden away. Or... alternatively, dress as a paramilitary, run around the village, scare everyone off.
He's not going to let that down.
Entire village to yourself.
He's not going to let that down. I'm going to give a couple people the final question. Jessica, do you have any questions for Neil while you got there? Especially, you haven't gone yet.
I did, and I've now forgotten it. Damn. I did have one like ages ago. I was like, I'll ask this at some point. But I didn't want to interrupt because Neil, you could tell you were so like into it and so happy. I think I remembered it. Yeah. Where you restore all this, is that self-taught? Did you teach yourself to restore all this, or
Yeah, I'm self-taught. Yeah, basically, I used to be a musician and I was a teacher and I studied physics, believe it or not. And what I really wanted to be was a comic artist. And I'm hoping to self-publish some comics at some point. But basically, yes, I think I'm just one of those people. I guess you would say I'm a creative person. And I just have a go at stuff. And I've always been sort of able to do this sort of stuff, to sculpt and things. And it was just self-taught. I think it came from a desperation that I got some props. Pterodactyl actually was the biggest learning curve. And I knew I had to do something to stop it from deteriorating. I saw somebody online had embalmed one of Davros's fingers in resin. And that got me thinking. I thought, it was one of the ones, that gets shot off in Revelation of the Daleks. And this guy had sort of dipped it in resin, stuck a wire in it and stuck it on a plaque, sort of like this massive, it was like a holy relic, Davros's finger, And I just thought, okay, you can actually preserve this. And then I realized that I was able to sculpt a little bit. It's not just, I just taught myself multimedia art over the years. But yes, the short answer, yes, Jess, I basically just self-taught myself these things. I'm more confident now, in what I do. I'm much more. I've got behind you here, you can't see. I've maybe got to see. This here is an Independence Day alien. That is an original alien from Independence Day.
Oh.
And I literally scraped that off someone's carpet about 2 weeks ago. The tentacles were stuck on the floor.
What?
Yeah, this guy was basically a guy who'd had so much dosh. It was in a mansion. Lovely guy. I mean, just he had in a lockup outside his house, overgrown, Magnum PI's car. The red one in a lockup. Just in an overgrown field. This was in his entrance to his house.
Oh, my God.
And I just had to drive. I drove through the night, 48 hours, hired a van. And it's huge. This piece is huge. And it'd been there since 96. And I literally had to scrape it off the carpet. And I knew, though, I was damaging it. There's no way around it. It was going to get damaged to be pulled off because the resin, it had gone sticky. But I knew I could fix it. I thought, no, just get it off, get it in this van, get home, get it in a calm, a cool environment. Because I have to have dehumidifiers and everything on. The cellar, thankfully, because it's underground, or half underground, keeps a constant temperature, even in the boiling hot weather. It's perfect for rubber, because what you don't want with these pieces is expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. That's the worst thing. That's what was also happening in Cardiff. The Cardiff experience was basically a metal shed. Mike Tucker was telling me this, and the temperature at night was freezing, and then in the summer it was just like a boiling. And that is so even the monsters he was restoring, within a year, the rubber was starting to crack and deteriorate. So you want a nice, cool. This is, actually perfect.
I would love to see you fit the 11th Doctor swimming pool in your somewhere in there. We got a couple questions left out there. Mike says, "Have you got any of Alistair Pearson's?"
None of Alistair. I've met Alistair. I like his stuff very much. I haven't got an Alistair Pearson at all. Stay tuned, folks, because my first art book's coming out soon. Because I'm an illustrator as well, really.
Oh, that's right. And I'll show this. I hate to rush this.
Oh yeah, that's one of my. That is drawn with a Bic biro pen. That's a 79 pence biro pen. That's what I used to draw with.
I love Eldred.
Yeah, and that's these are all Bic biros. I basically sit at night after tea in front of the telly and just sketch on my knee. And basically, I've just started to put them. It's a 79 pence biro, so it's cheap. But basically, as a kid, I had no money, so my dad would bring me back paper bags and biro pens. So I learned to draw comics. I do Spider-Man comics on paper bags, and now I've ended up being quite handy with the biro, which is great because they're the cheapest art equipment ever.
And last question.
Oh, anything for the no 8th Doctor stuff. Sorry, Andrew.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, forgot.
Get the TARDIS in there. Neil, thank you so much. And Andrew, just wanted to throw this in here. You're a talented chap. And everybody, thank you for joining us. Neil, thank you for joining us. Everybody in the panel, stick around until after the show. Everybody, thank you again. And reminder, tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time, we're going to be interviewing Sylvester McCoy. If you have never had a chance to talk to this man, now you will. You don't have to go to a convention. You don't have to spend any money. You come to us, just put your chip in, and hopefully, first come, first serve. We don't know how much time we have with him, so once he goes, he goes. And definitely, if you're here in the state of Florida, especially in the Central Florida area, you can come to us over on International Drive, Gods and Monsters, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard over on Saturday the 21st. And don't forget, Phantasmagoria will be returning November 14th to do a special holiday presentation of the show, the Victorian Horror Troupe, and they're just gorgeous out there. Neil, thank you so much. Just Reverend Amagon, Candyman, thank you. Everybody, please take care of yourselves. We want to see you again out there. And before you leave out there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Let people know where numbers are climbing up out there, and you are helping us a great deal and letting everybody know. We're trying to get to 72,000 Facebook subscribers by the end of this year. We're over halfway there. So, guys, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Tony, take us out.